Have at it. Family divided. We left me shop, but we're still united. Hot takes, hard hits. You're all invited. Have at it. Family divided.
Hey, everybody. It's Sonja from El Paso. Sonja, still from El Paso, seasoned cracker, not to be confused with the soggy Saltines on the right. Second generation American, daughter of an immigrant, and non-practicing Caucasian. And I want to invite y'all out to Family Have at It, Family Divided. Ooh, I messed that up. Listen, we're not going to do another take 3. We're just going to roll with it, okay? All right, I want to introduce the family that I have here with me. Next to me, I've got Malyk.
What's going on, world? Hope y'all having a great one.
That's it?
That's all I gotta say.
How was your weekend?
So that, yeah.
It was extremely fast.
Did you end up going out last night?
No, negative. Won't be doing that no more.
That's a bet.
Okay.
That's a bet.
All right, and then over here across from me, I have Tremell.
What up, world? What up?
That's it?
That's it.
How you doing?
I mean, I'm good. You know, I'm blessed. Stress free.
Okay.
Beautiful wife. Happy life. Kids laughing.
Right. Somebody's kids ain't fucking
Okay,
laughing.
stop it. All right, and then over here next to me, I have my daughter-in-law, Sujey.
Too soon.
What it do?
How you doing today, Sujey?
I'm doing good. How about you, Mom?
I'm doing good. And then last but not least, I have my daughter, Erynn Renee, on the phone. Erynn Renee, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful.
Surviving.
Exactly. Hanging in there.
I was waiting for your mic check. 1 2 1 2.
I was good. Yeah. 1 2 1 2.
You were gonna do that, right?
I was.
You fucking
I was.
up.
I'm exhausted.
You're exhausted.
Yes.
Okay.
But what to do? 1 2 1 2. All that good stuff.
All right.
Why you sound like that?
No. That was him doing one of them sound effects. One of them sounds.
That was a sound effect.
That
That was a
Malyk.
sound. That was a sound
That was
effect.
Malyk.
He sat here for like 20 minutes adding new sound effects to the
I
thing.
actually sat here for
Oh.
25 minutes fixing the machine that you
'cause I
broke again.
it. Yeah, okay. I told Sujey, Erynn, I'm gonna buy me a little $30 one off TikTok so I can do my individual podcast without messing with this expensive one.
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
All right. Okay. Well, so today we're not gonna do a whole lot of laughing. This is gonna be serious.
Bullshit.
I'm over him already, Sujey. All right.
Damn,
So
Hold my
son,
beer.
Where'd you find this?
listen.
Oh.
All right. Today is going to be a heavy topic, y'all. And I already know from the conversations we've had in the moments before starting this podcast where this is going to go. But we are talking about the Lindsay Clancy case today, y'all. Okay. So this is going to be serious and we are going to jump right to it. So let me go ahead and
That's
stop.
the only one we talking about today?
I think with this, what we're going to talk about, we're going to try
We
to
might
talk about.
segue.
Yeah, but we're going to start here because, you know, your little brother on a time schedule, you know.
On a time schedule.
Yeah,
Ain't no
'cause
way.
I don't
It's
know why
always
she said
somebody
that.
always.
I don't know why she made it sound like
Ain't
that.
nobody, y'all ain't never on no time schedule.
Right. I got here at 12:15, by the way.
Oh my God.
Well,
Okay.
Mom told us 1:15-ish.
I said 1 o'clock.
I'll pull the receipt right now. You said
You should
1:15-ish.
Pull your receipt. I said 1 o'clock.
My verdict is in.
You know,
Miss
I'm
Clancy
over
crazy
it.
as shit.
Okay.
My
Look.
God. Call her crazy one more time.
I know. That's
Wait,
right.
and I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I have not. I know I said I was gonna research this case. Like I got.
Erynn.
That's
I
okay. That's
know,
okay. You
so-
can get on YouTube.
So I'm gonna. No, but for podcast purposes, like in this particular conversation, I'm not gonna be able to contribute too much as far as like when it comes to the facts and all of that.
No,
I
but
can
you
give my
can-
opinion,
we're going to
but
give you the
I'm a
facts and you
listener.
can
We're
give
gonna
your
give you-
opinion.
yeah,
They're
we're
going
gonna
to give
give
their
you-
facts.
Yes.
We just state your opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All
Eric
right.
and Makai already about to piss me off.
They
ain't even
sure
say
are.
shit.
Okay.
This
All
will be
right.
the one time you're not fucking with me, Erynn.
Ooh, all right. Okay, hello, everybody. Okay, remember I'm Sonja. I am your favorite seasoned cracker. But
Right.
today, however, stop it.
Reckon.
Today, I don't have no cute little jokes for you because this case is too painful, okay? Before we discuss Lindsay Clancy, we must first say the names of the 3 little children whose lives were taken.
Yeah, screen them shits.
5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. Those babies
Lord.
are not supporting characters in their mother's trial. They are the victims at the center of the tragedy. Now, let's Stop it. I don't know why anybody's laughing, okay?
Because you can't speak.
So it's very emotional, y'all. Okay, it's very emotional. But let's be clear about what this trial is and what it is not. Lindsay Clancy's defense is not denying that she killed her children on January 24th, 2023. The question before the jury is whether she was criminally responsible when she did it. The prosecution say Lindsay acted deliberately and understood what she was doing. The defense says severe postpartum mental illness left her unable to appreciate or control her actions. This is a legal and moral divide that we are discussing tonight. We are not discussing a verdict from the couch, although Malyk probably will. We are examining the arguments, the testimony, and the questions the case forces America to confront. All right, so the prosecution's case. The prosecutor's position is that Lindsay deliberately created an opportunity to be alone with the children by sending Patrick out to pick up medication and dinner. They argue at the time the errands and the subsequent of events showing planning. They have also emphasized moments when Lindsay appeared organized, communicated normally, and functioned as a mother as the days and the hours before the killing. So let's have that conversation real quick. I know you're looking at me crazy. I can't see that well. Okay. All right. So let's discuss that. I know, Sujey, you have been watching this from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and start it off.
So it is a very sad case, and she's not in court to say that she didn't do it. She's saying that, she killed her kids. What I feel is though she asked for help from her husband. She went to the hospital. She checked herself in because she had voiced to her husband, hey, I'm not well. I'm hearing these things. I feel these things that I'm hearing are saying that I want to harm the kids. I need help. So she was completely ignored. So then she checked herself into the hospital where they medicated her, and she apparently was able to leave and go back home, and this happens. So I can only go, like, my thoughts are things are not okay at home. Like, she probably doesn't have help. Obviously, her husband didn't help her from the get-go, and it unfortunately she killed her kids.
So let's just lay this out for the boys in the room. Postpartum depression is a very, very serious thing. It is a very real thing. And as women, our hormones are up and down. And when you have a baby, they get out of whack. Now, I already know your position on it, Malyk. Tremell, what are your thoughts?
So my first question is, what separates postpartum depression from any other depression that people go through?
It's the female hormones that become messed up, and it causes you to withdraw, and it's hormones. So you ask me what the difference is. It's a term. It's called postpartum depression. It is an actual term for it. So it's not a made up thing.
I never
Was
said
that
it was
all
made up.
she was? Was that all she was diagnosed with? Because
So they're saying now that it's postpartum depression that led into bipolar, and they're also saying that all of the different medications that all of the various physicians put her on worked against each other and against her bipolar disorder. So
she was on like 13 different medications, severe anxiety, insomnia, depression, racing thoughts, all of the above.
because I do know that like there's postpartum depression, but there's also postpartum psychosis.
That's what they're trying
and
to label it as.
that's what they're trying to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
That's what that sounds like, because postpartum depression is a real thing. But what I don't know, and I don't even know, I don't think I want to know how she killed the kids, but
Oh no, you want to know?
that I don't know if I
Well,
want to know.
We're gonna
But
get there.
but yeah, postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and then they're reaching out for help and then not getting help, which can make anybody feel even more, hopeless. And then the fact that she was on 13 different medications.
So
is crazy work.
so here's a little background on her. She was a labor and delivery nurse. They had been married for some years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she had her first two births were complicated and traumatic. Her last birth was very easygoing and normal. Um, but she had an issue with like separation anxiety with all three of the children. Like as it got closer for her to go back to work, she started getting anxious and having anxiety over it. Her
Mm.
husband worked from home, so he was always in the home. She took, I think,
Wow.
12 weeks off the first time, and the
Mm-hmm.
second time she took 18 weeks off, and then the third time she just never went back to work. They had a nanny. So it's not like she was,
Like-
you know, the stresses of raising three kids under the age of 5. So it wasn't that. So everybody that testified or that has testified up to this point, because the trial is still going on, said she was a very loving mother. She was a very caring mother. She was a good mother. She was a great nurse. Her mother-in-law even gave her some direction to go to a doctor to
Right.
seek help. She's had conversations with psychiatrists. She was admitted. They did all of this, but yet I have to put a little bit of this on her husband as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying we're not saying that she didn't do what she did. She did what she did, and she admitted to that. But however, he knew the struggles that she was going through, and instead of helping her, he left her alone with the kids.
Not just in
Well,
that.
Even
he worked
after
from
she
home, so
expressed.
Not
did
just.
she really? Okay, hold on.
Okay,
So my
he
question.
worked from home and still had to get a nanny because he wasn't capable of taking care of his children.
Well, yeah, because
And-
he's working from home.
But even when he left the kids at home, that one incident where she killed her kids, he was always out and about. He had quote unquote work trips.
Work
He had
trips to New
boys'
York.
nights. He was always out and about living his own life, knowing that his wife was going through this.
Even after she expressed having thoughts
Yeah.
of
Even
wanting to harm the
voicing
kids.
to him that, hey, I have these thoughts of killing my kids. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go on this
Eh.
boat trip.
And he still left her alone with
He
the kids.
still left her alone with the kids. Now, mind you, he did a lot of trips to New York, which subsequently, and this may not have anything to do with it, but his new wife that he married 4 months after his children's death was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Gosh.
so there's a
Were
lot.
they having an affair?
Well, nobody knows that. I don't think anything has come out yet, but I'm saying she was in New York. He went to New York a lot. They got married 4 months after the death of the children.
Mm-hmm.
So when did he meet her? I mean,
Yeah.
so it just, and ironically, Erynn, his new wife looks a lot like Lindsay.
Oh, identical.
Identical. I saw it was her. I thought it was her in the picture. I really did. So, but here's some things about the case that are really wild. Sujey, go ahead, because you've been the one that's been watching most of it. So talk to us about the case and the call and the way he found her and so on and so forth.
So so there's a lot of things that are not matching up to where the light is being put on Patrick, which is her husband. There's a lot of things that are not matching up to the call where he went to go pick up medication at the CVS, and then picked up dinner, right? So he parked his car as usual. He notices that her car is there. He walks in, takes off her boots, puts the bags, the restaurant and the CVS bag on the table, and then he says that the house is really quiet. And so he immediately tells the jury, saying like, oh, I didn't know if she was there with the kids because it was so quiet, even before saying like, oh, I saw her car there. And when he supposedly went downstairs to see if they were down there, he didn't go fully down to the basement, but he went back up, and then he went to the upstairs to where he thought that they were taking a bath, but again, it was all quiet. And then he went to their bedroom, and there was a lot of blood.
First, it was locked. He couldn't get in.
Oh my
But wait,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
The blood was not of the children's.
Yeah. So the children were in the basement. I don't know if we're allowed to talk, I guess. So
It's YouTube.
you can say it.
okay, so she strangled her kids with a exercise band in the basement, all within 30 minutes that he was gone. So the blood was hers. She supposedly, supposedly she cut her wrist and cut her throat before jumping out of the balcony.
Jumping out of the window.
The window, sorry.
So the part that gets me is, one, his testimony is talking about, oh, it was quiet in the house. You got 3 kids under the age of 5, motherfucker. The house ain't gonna be quiet.
Never quiet.
Ain't never quiet. And then he said he thought they were up in the bathroom. Ain't no way kids in the bathroom splashing in the tub is gonna be quiet. So that should have been clue number 1. Okay, well that should have been clue number 5 or 6. Okay, what happened next, Erynn, is he got into the bedroom. He noticed there was blood. He noticed a window was broken. He looked outside. He saw his wife laying down on the ground. He rushed down, went to her. Supposedly, she told him, I tried to kill myself because I killed the kids. This is what supposedly she said to him. Paramedics got there. Paramedics said she was not able to talk. They had to intubate her because there's no way she could talk. She was a mess. He went inside looking for the kids, said he couldn't find them. Then he found them, let out a scream or whatever. The cops went in there, found him with one of the kids, and then found the other 2 kids. Now, the problem in all of this is that exercise band does not have her fingerprints on it. Has his.
What?
Has his. Of course, the kids.
What?
Mm-hmm.
His and the kids. Okay. Now, Malyk is sitting up here saying she probably wore gloves. Well, it's possible.
Why would she wear gloves?
But it's possible she put on gloves to kill her kids, but I don't think she did. I don't think there were gloves. I don't know how her fingerprints are not on there because she's never denied killing them. However, I feel like, yes, she killed her kids because she was in a state of psychosis. I think he knew. I think he saw that. And I think he pushed her out the window.
Yeah.
I think he pushed her out the window. And then tried to say, I didn't push her out the window.
So when did he push her out the window?
When he came home. I think he saw them kids. I think he went upstairs. I think she barricaded herself in the bedroom. I think he broke that door down as he said he did. And I think he pushed her out the window. And I'm not saying, I'm saying you find your kids dead. Yeah, you're going to go after who you think did it, right? But that's my philosophy on saying that.
Okay, so we're in agreement that she did do it.
Nobody's denying that she didn't.
Wait,
Okay.
no. Wait. No, time out. Let me turn this water off for a quick second. I'm confused because she's not denying that she killed her kid.
Right.
Everybody's saying she killed her kids.
But there's no
But
fingerprints.
But yeah, so how does that make sense? And I'm not riding with the gloves because no woman who is suffering postpartum psychosis or depression, who's not leaving the scene of the crime, who's not denying the fact, why would she put gloves on? And if she did, where are those gloves?
Well-
But that doesn't make sense because anybody who's going to wear gloves to commit a crime indicates that they're going to try to cover up the fact that they committed that crime,
Right.
which he's clearly not doing. So why were her fingerprints not on this supposed murder weapon?
I don't know if we've gotten to the part of the trial where
No, this is supposed to go on for like 6 weeks, and we're barely on day 9. What I feel is that he used her
This one's a little
illness
messed up.
for his advantage to get out of
Yes.
whatever is going on. So he already knew that she was already having these thoughts, right?
Yes.
Heavily medicated. So what other way? He's gonna put everything towards her, and I think it was planned on him. The
So maybe-
thoughts that she was
Yes.
hearing in her head, because she said, "I hear these thoughts of I'm gonna kill this
probably
kid."
him
It's his.
telling
It's
him.
his voice.
maybe she didn't kill her kids. Maybe
That's
she's
what I'm
taking-
saying, because
maybe she's taking responsibility for whatever reason. Maybe because she was so psychotically out of it that she thinks she did. But if her fingerprints are nowhere on the
Yes.
murder weapon, there is a possibility that she did not do it, and this was all a setup from him wanting to get out. We've seen it before, guys. We've seen it where men
Yes.
are in relationships where they have children. They
We
don't want no
also
part
saw
of.
we also saw the video of him not being at the house the time that his kids were
No,
murdered.
no.
though.
It was 30 minutes. 30 minutes. But they're also saying that her body, the temperature of her body, the temperature of the children's body, it's off. There's something off. He was 30 minutes, and when you see
Bro,
the
I'm
video,
not riding with this.
he's looking at the watch, her watch,
Do you
by
want
the
this?
way.
He said
watch.
that her wrists that were cut and her throat were deep. And when the paramedics got there, they said it was not even, it was bare, it was minimum. Like there was not enough for the blood to be
Like just
squirting the way
superficial.
Yeah, superficial.
Yeah.
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 Now-
There's a lot of variables that tie into crime scenes and shit like that, where
Bro,
temperature of
I'm
body
not
can
riding with
be
this.
manipulated with ACs and
Yeah.
heaters, either or way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But can we agree that there have been cases, and we shouldn't compare any cases, but there are cases in the past that we've heard of where the man was having an affair and he wanted out of the
and
relationship.
we've also seen cases like Casey Anthony,
but
where she wanted out of her responsibilities and she killed her daughter.
But everybody that has gone to testify had nothing but saying that Lindsay was a wonderful mother. She cared for her children. Not like, oh, I felt here and there that she could have been something. No.
Yeah, but people snap.
Okay, but
The
why were
people do snap.
She didn't snap. She
Explain
was
her
heavily
fingerprints.
medicated.
Explain her fingerprints. Why no fingerprints, Tremell?
Couldn't tell you.
But why his?
Based off of
Maybe he used
this.
it.
Maybe he used what?
Maybe
Yes.
it was his exercise belt. Maybe she stuck her hand in some socks. And,
Bro,
you
no.
know,
No. Just based off of this evidence alone, like I don't even need to go deeper in. If they need to convict her beyond a reasonable doubt, bro, there's already so much doubt there. There's absolutely that leaves too many questions that are unanswered from what I'm gathering so far.
well,
Because
she's gonna be convicted no matter
that-
what. Because she
that's
she copped to it.
crazy.
She copped to
So
it.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And to me, even though she copped to it, so they're gonna say, because of course anybody who's gonna, in any case, if somebody says, oh, I committed this crime, you're just gonna take what somebody's saying. You're gonna be like, all right, well,
Right.
why would they lie? This
Prime time
woman
case for
was
the DA, for the prosecutor. They gonna take that. It's a
An easy
notch on
win.
a belt.
Yeah.
that's a win right there. But so you're not going to question her admitting to killing her children, because why would anybody lie about that? But go back to the fact that already she's unstable and dealing with all of these mental health issues. She's doped up on 13 different medications. You cannot ignore the fact that she was very easily susceptible. If this man knew that if he committed this crime and put these things in motion, everything was going to point to her.
Yeah.
Everything was going to point to her.
I hear
She
you
could have been
that.
so out of her mind. He could have done this, and then
And-
she's in a state of psychosis, or she's snapping, or she's doped up on medication, and he brings her out of it. And look at what you did. Look at what you did. You killed the kids. So in her mind, she knew how she was feeling prior. She's so doped up on medication, so she believes what he told her she did. So in her mind, in a grieving mother's mind, that guilt is sitting with her. So she thinks the only thing that she can do is own up to the fact that she killed her kids. Because what else can she do? I'm sorry, I'm not riding already. I'm not riding already.
I absolutely see that. Do you, Malyk, you were like, she's guilty. She
Kinda
did-
quiet over there.
She's
Do you-
guilty. Question though, I'm not too familiar on how like fingerprints and things like that work, but he did say that when he's found the kids, he took all of the rubber bands off of their necks. So do fingerprints override each other?
They'll still, if there were,
No,
if
her
there were-
fingerprint should still be there.
Yeah, yeah, because they got the kids' fingerprints on it. They got the kids' fingerprints and they got his fingerprints. So here's my
Oh,
thought process.
God.
Now, mind you, this is all my thoughts, my speculations. I'm not saying that this is facts or anything, so I don't want anybody to misconstrue that. But this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing him taking their breath away, and I see them grabbing the cord to try to
Yes.
pull it away. That is how I get his and the children's fingerprints on it. That is what I see. And if you think about
Yes.
it, it makes sense. If somebody's trying to choke you out with something, you're going to grab it, right? To try to
Yes.
pull it off from around you. Now, if her fingerprints were nowhere on it, now if she did it, there would have still been traces of hers, the kids, and I don't know why his, but you know what I'm saying? But hers are not there. Hers are not there.
Even if he went to grab, even if you touch the murder weapon, you grab the cord, the band, whatever it is, that's still, he would have to touch that cord in every way she touched that cord. That's not
Yeah.
possible. That's
And
that's not. She touched it, the kids touched it, he touched it. If the events occurred like how he said, if she held that band and she strangled the kids, yes, the kids are, of course, their fingerprints are going to be on it. Hers should be on it. And then yeah, you can explain away why his are on it if he grabbed it and moved it or whatever. But how do you explain the person who committed these crimes and strangled three? So she had to grab it, strangle a child, then release that child, grab another one, which means her hands are in another position on that cord, and then do it. She did it 3 times, but her fingerprints are nowhere to be found on that cord. Make that make sense.
it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that's why I'm starting to lean. At first, when I first started watching it, I said, oh, okay, she killed the kids, yada, yada, yada. And then I started watching it, and I saw her husband fidget when her attorney started questioning him, and the things didn't add up. The things, why did he have her Apple Watch? Why is he looking at his watch while he's in the store? It was almost like meticulous. I'm on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just too good. And then
no.
the fact that and I know, Sujey, you said people grieve the way they grieve. He got married right after. You don't fault him for that. But I'm feeling that's a little sus. Your kids died January 24th, I think it was. 23rd. And then in April, you're married? Bro.
And when you get married, so is he trying to say that he met this? So you're judging this woman in her mental state, but you were mentally okay to engage in a romantic relationship. And then it just gets to the point where you're ready for marriage 4 months later.
Now,
so you fell in love, you met someone, fell in love, and got married within 4 months of your 3 young children being murdered.
But hold on, here's the
Bro,
kicker. He had to divorce her first.
Oh,
So
no.
you
No,
had to
I'm not
divorce
going.
her immediately after them children were unalived. And then you had to, because you have to divorce somebody. There's a waiting period. I don't know what state they're in. I don't know if there's a waiting period, but most places there's a waiting period before you can get remarried again. So it's almost like he immediately divorced her. Like it was a plan. It was a setup. It's like
I'm
he
sorry.
found this
Yeah.
woman. He wanted a new life. He had an opportunity because he knew he could use her psychosis and her illness
For a way out.
for a way out.
Yes.
I mean,
This
so
was his escape plan, and that's my take on it. That's my opinion. That's how I view this. And let me ask Eric and Makai, did you guys have this information prior to us going into this?
No.
Did y'all know this too? Or?
Tremell did.
I've been
Tremell did.
asking. We've been having conversations at home in bed before we go to sleep about it. So Suhey's been filling me in, but I don't think I've watched a single clip up until literally right now because it's on the TV.
I mean, we've got it on YouTube right now. But Micaiah, do you feel since you're hearing all this, have you switched from, she's guilty to maybe, it was a little.
I mean, it sounds wonky, but no, I think I'm still gonna sit with my verdict that she killed her kids.
You okay? But
Lock 'em
give me,
up.
give me your proof. Give me your proof that she killed her kids. Where's the evidence, my
Currently,
guy?
right now, I think my only proof is the time of death for the children. Like he wasn't at the house when these kids were supposed to
So
be
those
murdered.
kids could have been killed.
He could have
prior.
killed the kids, and then he could have killed the kids, took his quick little trip to CVS, came back, and then set everything in motion.
So let me ask a
He
question:
came home and found the kids.
where they live, are they on like an acre of land where there's no neighbors, where nobody can hear anything? Have they interviewed any of the neighbors? Have there been any statements from any neighbors about any screaming, any glass breaking from her being thrown or jumping out of the window? Nothing. So
Nothing.
neighbors just don't exist in this trial right now.
I don't know how
When-
close, but if you look at where the car is parked, it looked like it was a
He'd
long
pick
way
you up.
up to the house. So it doesn't look like there's houses. It's not like here where you got a house right next
Yeah.
door. There is some space
Yeah.
in between. So all you see is the long walk up to the house. So it's not like.
I mean, the scream gonna be heard no matter what.
But now,
Whether
let me
there's a
tell you
neighbor right
something.
next door or whether you got to
If I'm
skip 5 or
screaming-
6
But
lots.
who's screaming?
But if anybody's
But
screaming,
who's
who's
screaming?
screaming?
There's got to be some kind of noise. That's what I'm saying.
So
Whether
the-
it's a scream, there's
No.
got to be some
So
noise.
the kids are probably crying, but that's normal to hear.
They're
a
in the
kid
basement. You're
crying.
not gonna
They're-
hear that.
Okay, so people don't pay attention. People don't care about what happens with their neighbors. People will literally ignore shit unless it's happening to them.
I have a question about.
Okay,
her
and
life.
also take into hold on, let me just the screaming thing, because you're assuming in a crime like this that there's going to be some type of noise outside of glass breaking, which anybody could overlook or not hear because it's not that loud. The children were very, very young. So if you start with, again, in the basement, nobody's going to hear that. But mind you, this woman is doped up on medication, because if we're going to go ride with the story that he waited until she was in such an out of her mind state, she's not screaming, she's not crying, because she's probably doped up and doesn't know what's going on. He starts with the oldest child and works his way down. There's not going to be much noise, or like, who's going to hear what? Who's going to be crying or screaming so loudly that somebody across the street is going to hear it?
Someone who just got thrown or jumped from a window on the second floor.
Again, that's glass breaking. If that was the only noise that really, because you can't assume that there was screaming going on to
Doped
bring
up or
somebody.
not, someone you jumping and being paralyzed, right? Hitting the ground and becoming paralyzed. You're gonna make some kind of sound. Whether it's a moaning, groaning.
If she is knocked out on her meds, if she's in a psychotic state and she's on her meds and she's doped the fuck up,
you're still gonna feel the pain.
She's moaning. That's probably all she's doing.
Okay, so at what time of the day did this happen? It happened at nighttime, right?
It happened at like five something.
5, 6.
5 or 6
o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
5, 6 o'clock.
What
in the
about her
evening.
injuries?
She is paralyzed.
Waist down.
Her visual injuries.
What do you mean?
The cuts on her wrist and then the supposed
Y'all said she
cut on her
slit her throat.
throat.
Her cut on her throat and her wrist cuts are not severe enough. Were not severe enough. Her major injuries came from the fall.
Okay, so the cut on her throat, was that from the glass? Was that from the window, or are they saying that someone?
What they're saying is that she cut her wrist and her throat before
because there
jumping.
is a knife on the nightstand that's bloody. There is blood all in the bedroom.
Whose fingerprints are on the knife?
The what?
Whose fingerprints are on the knife?
I don't think they have talked about that in the case yet.
That's wild work.
What's wild work?
To not discuss that or not
well,
have no
the trial
info.
is still going on.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
but
so right now, it's still the prosecutors are doing it. So when the defense gets their shot, then we're going to be able to. I'm waiting for.
I'm sure they're going to ask her when she's up on her.
But here's the thing: it's like the door was locked. The bedroom door was locked. Supposedly, he kicked that door in. Like maybe here's another theory. Maybe she knew what he was doing. She caught him in the act or something, ran upstairs, closed the door, locked the door, then he came in a rage and...
Or maybe, right, he got to a point, I'm not saying it's right, but he got to a point in his life where he didn't want to deal with her and her mental state, had an affair, she realized he was having an affair, she did take the kids out and tried to end herself. And the only thing that he's guilty of is having the affair.
Oh,
it could also be that. No, I'm saying it could be that too. We can't make assumptions.
It could be, but like I said, she had a career.
That means nothing.
She didn't meet
millionaires kill themselves every day.
Every person that has come to testify, like I could have been like, oh, you know what? She really loved Patrick. She loved her family. No one said anything of that sort of words. She was a great mother. She didn't seem to be obsessed enough with him exactly.
It was all about the kids with her. All about the kids.
One of the first few conversations.
On the other side.
Go ahead, Erynn.
And then on the other side, if everybody's saying from their experience with her and the kids, she was, by all accounts, a good mother. And then you have this husband and this father who his wife is expressing concerns and expressing these thoughts of wanting to harm their children. Why is he not just as
guilty,
a loving father? No, but you should love your children enough to, first of all, want to get your wife help. Love your wife, your family, period, to want to get her help. But then also, why are you not on guard? Why are you not like, oh, I can't? Because if anybody comes to me and expresses to me that they're having thoughts of harming my kids, bro, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving my kids with you.
He said she was having a good day. That's
Yeah,
what.
her-
Well, I mean,
Nah.
that's what the reports say too. That she got up normally, took the kid to a
Well-
pediatrician visit, and went about her day like nothing happened.
But
And
that's
then
the thing, like when you're around people, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm really depressed. I have these thoughts in my head that I want to kill my. They're not gonna be friendly to open to say that.
If I go to my
Yeah.
husband and I tell my husband, hey, I'm having these horrible thoughts of harming myself and my kids, and my husband's not helping me, and my husband's downplaying my situation, what makes me think that a stranger is going to empathize with me when the man who promised to be there for me through thick and thin isn't empathizing with me?
And then also take into consideration that people who commit certain crimes, like when you fall into like psychosis or you have these things, it's just it's just that particular moment. You can go throughout your day like nothing. You have high functioning depression, anxiety, you have all of these things where you're completely fine up until that moment that you snap and you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not your mental, you're not walking around all day snapping. No, it's a quick moment when it does happen.
so
So just
let's
because she
say
got up and acted,
let's
Go ahead.
say she did do everything that she is on trial for, right? Like she killed her kids. She did that. What's supposed to happen to her?
So she was gonna go to prison, or if she's found not guilty, she's still gonna spend the rest of her life in a mental institute.
Okay, so with her killing her 3 kids, at the hands of postpartum depression, right?
Postpartum
Postpartum
psychosis.
psychosis, right? With that being the reason behind her killing her kids, what do y'all ladies think should happen to her?
Well, I'm not saying she should walk free. If she was in fact the one that took her children's lives, she needs to be institutionalized. She does.
Prison
I'm not
or mental?
mental.
mental.
Because it's not something she didn't kill her kids to be vindictive or kill her kids. She mentally was not right in the head if she did it. She
Okay.
mentally was not right in the head. So I feel like she needs to be institutionalized.
So when we think of, with no specifics, when we think of other people who are dealing with mental health issues and they go on rants and raves and they end up committing these crimes and these murders and let's say mass shootings, should they also be placed in
But
a mental
those people-
institute or should they be placed
Oh
in
my God, you can't compare that to a mass shooting.
No, I'm just saying it's
Listen,
3
I
lives.
feel like if you have a mental condition, if it's found that you have a mental condition and you do a crime, I think you need to be in an institution because you're sick. Okay,
No matter
you're
the
sick.
crime.
I'm sorry.
No matter the crime.
If you do a crime and it's found out that it's due to your mental capacity or lack of, if you're schizophrenic or something like that, you would not normally do those crimes if you were not under the influence of that psychosis or whatever, right?
Okay.
Right? So institutionalized. Now, be in the institution for the rest of your life. That's the same thing, but why are you putting somebody in prison who is sick?
because we put drug
That's what we
dealers in
have
prison.
mental health.
But
That's what we have mental health institutions for.
Exactly.
It's to house people with mental health
And
disorders
people-
and
yeah, and I disagree with that too, Eric. I don't feel people that are drug addicts should be sent to prison either.
To drug dealers.
Drug dealers, yes, they need to be sent to prison because they're purposely doing something. But I'm talking about those people that get caught up in the system because they're drug addicts and they send them to prison. They don't need to be in prison. They need to be in rehab centers. But we don't have that kind of stuff accessible to regular people. You got to be rich and live in Beverly Hills to go to a rehab center.
I feel like it was a damn if I do, damn if I don't. Because there's a lot when you go to take your newborn child to their appointments, they always have the mom fill out questionnaires. Do you feel safe at home? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel this? 99% of the time, women are not telling the truth on there because they're afraid of, oh, she's incapable of caring for her children. So I'm going to put CPS on your ass and this and this and that. She didn't do that. She told the truth. She said, I'm having problems. I'm having these thoughts.
And how funny is that? They'll go and they'll take somebody's children if they have those events, but nobody bothered to think about those children in this situation. As much as she cried out for help, and nobody decided that maybe CPS should step in.
And so it's crazy to me that the buck stops with her. So she's on trial and she's going to go to prison, mental health institute, whatever. Why is no one else held accountable? She was not the
Exactly.
only one, because she did by all standards, because she could not control the fact that her mind was doing what her mind was doing. She took the steps necessary. She sought help. She asked her husband for help. She expressed to him that she was feeling this way. She did not hide it. She did not ignore it. She took the medication that was given to her. She did what she was trying to do to prevent what ultimately happened, if you want to say she did it. But she did what she was supposed to do.
Right.
What did everybody else do?
Exactly.
Because if
it.
her husband did his job, if the doctors did their job, if the family members did their job, everybody would have come together and been like, we need to take this seriously, because she's verbally expressing that she's thought about harming the kid. This is a big deal. What are we talking about?
What
So
if
why
he
does the
was
buck
doing
stop with
his
her?
job?
He wasn't.
What if
He
what if
wasn't.
what
He
if he
didn't.
was doing his job? What if he was in the process? He had already spoken to her about divorce and that he was going to leave and
Then
take
he
the
would
kids.
say that.
No.
Then he would
He
say
didn't
that.
say
He didn't
that.
say that.
We on day 9.
Bro,
has
That's
his
what y'all said. We
job,
on day
his
9.
job,
first on the
his
stand.
job, his job was to protect those children. Get his wife the help that she needed, but job number 1 should have been to protect those children, which means you don't leave them unattended with somebody who's already expressed to you that they're unstable and they're having thoughts of harming these children. That's number 1 right there. You're in dad mode. Yes, love your
Yeah.
wife, get her help and all of that. But number 1 job was to protect those children, which means you don't leave them alone with somebody who says they want to hurt them.
If I
Period.
told you I was having these thoughts of taking out everybody in the house, would you feel comfortable? Would you leave me with your children at the
Nah,
house?
we would leave you all together.
Okay.
Well, why didn't
That's
he?
what I'm
Well, he
saying.
didn't
What if,
do
what
that.
if he was in
And
the
that would
process
make
of
more
doing
sense.
so?
That would make
Because
sense.
this
No.
has been going on for a while. This wasn't just, she didn't wake up the day before she killed her kids and said, "Hey, I have postpartum depression." This has been at least a year.
Do we know?
Really?
Do we know the time or the date that he actually filed for divorce? Was it after she
was
killed the kids?
after.
It was after.
It
Like
was after.
it's on record that it's
Yes,
after.
It was after.
Okay.
So,
I'm- I,
go ahead.
It was Erynn.
No, I just, my mind is just so made up. I'm sorry.
And I mean,
and they don't rush to conclude. But I feel, and because I've listened to so many crazy stories with all my true crime, that I've seen this, I've heard this time and time again. I feel like, in my opinion, he was having an affair, did not want to no longer deal with the stresses of these 3 children or his wife, who he probably felt was crazy, and all her drama and mental health issues. He didn't want to deal with it. So for him, in his mind, the perfect way out of it was to set this woman up, who she's already got a track record. Everybody knows she's expressed these things. So he set the perfect crime in motion. He took those kids out, set her up, put her in a position to really make herself believe that she did what she did. And of course, everything else is easy. Everybody else is looking at her. And now here he is, off, able to live his life with his new wife
And child.
be free of, oh my God, they had a child. Lord have
And
mercy.
he got $1.7 million of a GoFundMe and the money
Nah.
for the house.
I'm
Yeah.
not going.
Okay,
I'm not
so
going. Wait, who is so he had a child with this
The new wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? What was the time frame of this?
So this happened in 2023. January of 2023 was when the kids were
Oh.
killed. He got remarried April of 2023.
And had a kid win.
Well,
I mean, within
between April 2023 and now that the trial is
Do we know
on.
how? Do we know how old the kid is right now?
Suhei's going to
Let me
look that up.
It's
But while she looks that up, let me talk a little bit about the defense, okay?
Hold on.
What?
Before we do that. So if they had a kid, right? Let's say his kid was born in January of 26. That's 3 years later.
What does that matter?
No, I'm just saying like the time frame. Like
Okay.
we're like, oh, he had
Yeah.
a kid.
So I
It's like
thought
now,
it
like,
was like a. I
kid
thought it
was
was like
born
back
in
to back.
April
Like,
of 23.
I don't know
That's
when the
different.
kid was born, so Suhei's going to look that up. But while she's looking that up, let's talk about the defense. The defense is saying that Lindsay was experiencing postpartum psychosis and undiagnosed bipolar disorder after the months of insomnia, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, and repeated changes in psychiatric medication because they were putting her on 12 different medications, 12
That's
different
crazy.
dosages or whatever. They claim she heard a voice commanding her to kill the children so she could then kill herself. Now, that goes back to what Sujey said. I'm not saying this is just my theory. He could have been telling her, that's the voice, like Sujey said, that's the voice that she was hearing, okay?
Yeah.
And she eventually, according to this, attempted to take her own life and was left paralyzed. The jury has heard about a diary entries that she kept a diary, and she was describing desperation and brain fog. She documented everything. Okay, so it's like it's just wild to me.
But she wasn't only
And a
documenting
drama.
everything with what was happening with the
No.
postpartum. She was documenting everything from
When
their
did you want me to
first
get the intro?
child.
Yes, from the birth, from her
No, I didn't see no
dilation,
text.
the everything.
Uh, no, I didn't see it.
So
I'll get some.
the history.
Sorry, guys.
What the hell was that?
Erynn talking in the background.
Oh,
Sorry. I'm gonna mute myself. Go ahead.
that's okay. So anyway, between the postpartum depression and then the bipolar and all of the medications that they use to treat postpartum depression that counteracts what bipolar does to you, I feel like the doctors fucked up there.
Yeah.
They were in too much of a hurry to get her in and out treatment. All they did was hand her prescription after prescription after prescription
And
and
moved on.
not really diagnose what she was going through. So I think that they should be held liable as well.
So she's a nurse, right? So she's in the medical field.
She's a labor and delivery nurse.
So your average person who knows nothing about medicine.
Right now.
Usually when you prescribe something, you do Google it just to see what it would do.
And she would tell him, yo, I don't like this medication because it makes me feel this way.
So wouldn't you stop taking it?
Well, she did.
She did, and that's why they prescribed her something else.
And wouldn't you just not take it?
So if
Don't you have the choice to not take medication that is
And then
prescribed
still feel the way you feel?
she was desperate to find something that would help her. So that's why she kept going to these doctors and they kept switching up her medication. She was desperate to find some normalcy to get her mind right. You don't see that?
All I'm saying with this case is that she should not be the only person who should be held accountable. At the end of the day, if they do find out that, let's say she did kill her kids, she should not be the only one that should be charged. I feel like her husband should be charged. I feel like her psychiatrist should be charged, because if you see her psychiatrist on the case, she didn't evaluate her right. They didn't know nothing about what her medication history was like. She took her word for everything. She's like, "Oh, well, why'd you take her word? Like, you work in a mental institute. Why are you just gonna take her word?"
So maybe
Why
maybe
would
the
she lie to
loss
me?
of their license, right? The psychiatrist for not doing everything correctly. Maybe losing the license, but I think charge is a bit much.
3 children's lives were taken.
I know.
At the hands of
right?
somebody else.
But because she
She-
didn't
But then there's
diagnose
also
right.
the negligence, the accessory.
Mhm.
Like there's so many ways that they can be held accountable other than just losing their license. Because yes, 3 children, they're gone. Like what are we talking about? And we're saying we're just gonna put all of this on the one woman who
Who
was
did it?
and
Who
we're
loved her
and we're
children and
wait a second,
reached.
because we're gonna assume we're just gonna go and say, oh, we're assuming that she did it. So even if you're riding with her being the guilty one, again, by all accounts, she did. This is a woman who had no control over what was happening inside of her brain, but yet she still had the sound mind to seek help. Every step of the way, her documenting, her asking, her being very transparent about what she was feeling. This woman was suffering a mental health crisis and she was trying to get help, and everybody around her failed her. And yet she's the only one being held
Mhm.
accountable when she had no control over what was happening to her physically.
Yeah.
But everybody else who was perfectly sane and didn't have any mental health issues, people who were licensed and trained to handle certain situations like this, people who were perfectly capable of seeing this woman in dire need of help and chose to not help her.
That takes
And this is what we got.
Yeah, and that takes me to Patrick, the remarriage and the internet speculations. Let's talk about him because Patrick has publicly forgiven Lindsay. He forgave her.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
He
I'm bro.
he
I mean, you gotta forgive.
he
It
gave
sucks, but you
y'all-
gotta forgive
No,
at some point,
Stop.
he
right?
went up to the
Stop.
stand.
Life is about
No,
forgiveness.
he went up to the stand and said nothing but great things about Lindsay.
Yeah, she was a great
Of
mom. She was
course.
a loving mother. Okay, so he forgave her. His family forgave her. He divorced her and has remarried. Some people believe he moved forward too quickly. Others have commented that the new wife's appearance is just like Lindsay, which I agree. She looks just
Probably
like
what attracted
Lindsay.
him to her.
Or I don't know.
Yes, he probably has a type. And when he met this woman, he probably was drawn to her because he probably loved his wife, but because his wife was suffering a mental health crisis, he was no longer in love or wanted to deal with her. So this was the next best thing because she looked
Facts.
like his wife, but she was sane and competent and all of the things that his wife probably used to be when they first got married.
Mhm.
So he was drawn to this woman and wanted to get rid of all of the stressors and responsibilities of the woman who was no longer who she was when he married her.
Yeah, and this
Bro, I'm
this
not.
part right here goes. It kind of fits to Micaiah because it's like who receives compassion, right? Would a poor mother receive as much compassion if something else happened? But Micaiah, you prosecuted her from the
Guilty.
jump. You're still saying guilty
still
after
saying guilty.
everything we're sitting here saying. You're not even a little bit doubting that maybe
There's
something
just too many
else may have
holes. There's too
happened.
many holes.
What holes? What holes? Fill
I
them.
mean, all the holes that we've discussed so far.
Okay, I want you to tell me where his fingerprints are.
Where
All
her-
the
Were
holes lead
hers.
to him.
where-
Yeah,
where are
all
her
the holes,
fingerprints on the knife that she used to cut herself.
So all the holes that we've given you, you're still
There
down
was
with the fact
nothing that she cut herself prior to. That was like the only one incident that she ever did.
Man,
Everything leads to him. I'm sorry. And even him getting up there, that's exactly what he's supposed to do. With that mindset, with the stories that I've listened to, like prior cases that are very similar to this, he played the grieving father. He was the grieving father whose wife took his children and it was such a tragedy and you have this GoFundMe and he's the grieving father who now speaks highly of his wife. He forgives her and all he's playing a freaking role. That to me, you're playing a role because of course, what are you gonna do? Everybody already feels sorry for you. You're already getting sympathy, and everybody's already like, oh, this poor guy, and this terrible woman, this terrible woman. So yeah, you're gonna play into that.
I
So what do you do?
I think it was a matter of he just couldn't deal. She had an issue with mental illness. He didn't want to be bothered with it.
Mhm.
He was having
And this
an
was his only
affair.
way
This
out.
was his way out.
I mean,
This
how
was his way
easy?
out.
Yep. How
to
easy
get
would
rid
have
of her.
been to be like,
No
you know
child
what?
support, no alimony, no nothing. Just
How
I'ma
easy if
put
you
her
would have
away.
loved your children as much as she loved her children to be like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to deal with you, but I'm gonna take my kids and I'm gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Tremell said, right?
Exactly.
But he didn't because he didn't want
Exactly.
to. He didn't want the responsibilities of 3 children.
He could have left. Now,
Mind you, the stigma, like the embarrassment and the shame, like to be a mother and to have these feelings, that's already bad enough. And that's why a lot of women stay quiet because
Mhm.
because of the stigma that comes with it. And they ultimately do what they do. This woman, she took that head on. She knew how people were going to view her. She knew how it would look. She knew that people were going to look down upon her, and yet she still was very honest about what she was feeling because at the end of the day, I don't believe she really wanted to hurt those children. She knew what she was feeling was wrong, and that's why she sought the help that she did because she did not want to harm her children.
Mhm.
Like
so to this
she
day,
faced all of that.
does she still say that she killed her kids to this day, 3 years later? Does she
Yeah.
have any like?
That's what her
memory of-
lawyer and her are saying that they're not there to say that she is innocent, but they're trying to plead insanity. But when they pulled Patrick up to the stand, they're asking him all these questions and everything's not adding up. So now the lawyer is going at him
Yeah.
crazy.
As they should, because
Mm-hmm.
now that opens up, because none of that is making sense. So
Yep.
again, they're defending her from the stance because this is their client. So if their client comes in, it's not their job to convince their client whether she's guilty or not. They're going to take what she's saying and they're going to do their job to defend her appropriately. So if she, in her mind, actually believes that she murdered her children, she once again, just like look at her history, she's taking accountability. She's owning her shit. She is not clearly from the very beginning didn't run from anything. So this woman who is in her mind believing she killed her children, she's not going to deny anything. So, and she's like, I get what I deserve. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, because she probably believes that she killed her children. So she's telling her attorneys, this is what I did, but this is why I did what I did. I don't remember my brain. So they're going to ride with the mental health crisis. But then you put this man on the stand. And so she's probably going to start getting some memory back. Things are not going to make sense to her. And so it's very likely that she could be listening to him on the stand thinking, well, I don't remember that. Well,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. And things are going to start. And then she's probably going to get a moment where she's like, I don't think I killed my fucking kids. Hold the
Yep.
fuck up. Wait a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a very great possibility here. And so her attorneys are going to look at the same fucking way. Like, all right, let's backtrack this. Let's think
And
about
I
this.
think that's what her lawyer is leading toward, because this is going to be really
Yep.
interesting. We're on day 9,
Barely.
and
yeah.
this is going to take some time. But
They even took up Patrick's father up to the stand, and he said nothing but great things about Lindsay. And he mentioned that he asked Patrick that he can take the kids because they knew that Lindsay was going through a hard time, and Patrick said, "No, we're fine." He declined.
Yeah, no.
For what reason?
so of course he declined, because if his parents would have taken the kids, and that would have not worked into the narrative that he was trying to create.
That
right?
wouldn't have relieved him of the responsibilities of being a father to 3 children and husband to a woman who's suffering mental health crisis. He did not want to deal with the responsibilities or the stressors. He was in love with somebody else and wanted to start a new life with somebody else.
Period.
Therefore, this right here put everything, it was a perfect crime for him.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, because why if your father, if somebody is offering help, why are you not taking it?
Yep.
Shame.
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 So your
Mind you, the
kids-
one, mind you,
you're
mind
not-
you,
Your
the
kids
woman who's
are
having.
involved.
Could have just
Nah,
been shame.
bro.
He
It wasn't
could have
no
been looking
shame.
at
No,
it a
bro.
different kind of way.
Your kids.
And yet the mom is feeling, but the mom is taking that shame head on. You don't think she felt shameful? You don't think she felt guilty? You don't think she felt terrible for
If
even speaking those words and saying, I'm thinking about killing my kids. I'm thinking about hurting my kids.
if
But this man is too prideful and feeling too much shame to take help from his dad.
if
Bro,
she was having these conversations in her head, there ain't no shame in that. You're not gonna feel shameful about that shit.
What?
She feels shame.
What?
No mother.
Tremell.
No mother is going to not feel guilt or shame for having those thoughts. She can't control those thoughts because, once again, this mental health situation is a real thing. She cannot control it, and she knows that it's wrong. So any mother is going to feel guilty that those thoughts are even crossing her mind.
Well-
And she's asking for help. She does not like the fact that she's feeling that way.
And she's asked for help, and that's already been attested to.
Or was she asking for help because he told her, "Hey, this is the only way I'm gonna stick around is if you get the help you need."
She'd been asking for help for a few years. This wasn't something that just like all of a sudden she was asking
And
for
it was
help.
probably something that they were dealing with for a few years.
Well, like I said, if you don't want to be married, if you don't want to be a parent anymore, then get the fuck on, walk off. There's none of this bullshit that's needed.
But there's nothing to say that he wasn't trying to do that.
He waited to divorce her. He didn't even leave. Listen, if he was so concerned about her,
Maybe
her
that
hurting
was
her
the
children,
straw that broke the camel's
I'm
back.
sorry, he should have grabbed them kids and left.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he should have done. Them kids would have still been here. But at the end of the day, we're going to find out what happens at court. We're going to keep up with what's going on with Patrick Clancy, and we're going to follow that. I know everybody here is going to follow it because now everybody's pretty much invested.
Is it an everyday thing? Like every day there's a trial?
The trial is on
yeah.
every day. Yeah. And if you miss it, you can just go to YouTube
Yeah.
and watch it, because that's what I've been doing. But we gonna readdress this here. But I want to switch themes for a second, real quick. I want to talk about Nolan Wells.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, I'm going to tell you who Nolan Wells is.
Okay.
Nolan Wells is a 17-year-old black man, black kid, black child, who went for a 4th of July experience on Horn Island in, where's that? Mississippi, Alabama, Mississippi,
Couldn't
The
tell
Gulf of,
you.
Coast of Mississippi. Yes,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Okay. He went on a little boat trip with his little 3 white little friends. His little white little friends came home. Nolan didn't make it home. They found his body on the 5th of July, I think it
The
was.
6th of
The
July.
6th of July. Okay, they found his body the
Yes.
6th of July. Now, the case is taking on a lot of controversy because, I'm going to ask you a question, Malyk. Your cell phone, are you ever going to separate yourself from your cell phone when you're out and about?
If I'm on a boat, probably
And-
leave my phone on the boat. If I'm getting in the water and shit.
It happens.
No, I think the yeah, that can happen. I'm gonna ask Micaiah a different question. You and 3 of your homeboys go out on a boat. Y'all go out for the 4th of July. Are you coming back if somebody's missing?
Hell yeah.
If you can't
Wait.
if you can't find no wait you can't find one of your homeboys, y'all just ride back. Wait, hello.
We're not gonna leave
Oh,
until
wait.
we figure
You-
out where he's at.
That's what I'm saying.
Where he's at. So that's number one. You're gonna figure out like somebody's missing. Where is he at? Can't nobody find him? You on this boat, y'all don't know what happened. You come back, you get back at 5:45 in the evening, and you don't notify anyone that he's missing until 11 o'clock at night. Are you
Oh,
you
no,
doing
that's-
that?
That's not normal. No, not at all.
Not at all.
Somebody gonna know as soon as we can't find him. We gonna call somebody and let them know.
Exactly. You
So-
figuring that shit out. Because if I'm out with my friends and somebody is missing, we got a problem.
All right, so I have a question
Especially being
regarding this
Huh?
case. I have a question regarding this case. I
Okay.
don't know too much about it, so I'm not really going to speak on it. But I did see something on TikTok, which could have been just bullshit, but were there other kids that were on this island celebrating?
There was a whole bunch
Yeah.
of kids.
Okay,
it was the party place to
I
go
saw
to.
something that said that he
He
didn't
went
want to leave with them.
He went.
He wanted to go back with the other kids.
So apparently the story.
there he wanted to talk to a girl,
girl.
is from what they're saying. But I
Okay.
don't think there's even been, from what I was reading, like there's been no interview with a girl who he supposedly was supposed to be meeting up with.
But
Like I
it's
don't
a
even know if she
possibility though, right?
exists.
It's a possibility.
It's a
but-
possibility that his friends had nothing to do with his death.
Well, let's talk about
No.
that because here's the thing: his phone and his keys to his truck were at the house of one of the boys.
Okay.
When they went to go try to retrieve it, the mother of one of these kids, who happens to be a judge, told the mother that she didn't have the keys. They didn't have the keys. A girl, another friend of theirs, said the keys are there. They're on the Xbox. When they retrieved his phone, there were text messages that had been erased from his phone, from Nolan's phone.
One of the mothers is the one that gave the phone to Nolan's mom.
Yes.
She had his phone. Now, also put your mind, you say that he was, he could have stayed back and talked to a girl or whatever, so they left. So if you leave that island under the impression that your homeboy is kicking it with some girl, then what changed at 11 o'clock at night to make you think, oh, he's missing, let's report him missing? Why wouldn't you just assume he's still kicking it with the girl?
No, I would assume, but if I'm reaching out to him and he's not responding to me, that's when I would assume something.
But he don't
is-
have his phone because y'all got it.
But they have his phone.
They have
You
his
got
phone.
his phone.
Oh shit, yeah, that makes sense.
So if he's going to stay, if he made a decision to stay back, right, with a girl, I would assume he would have grabbed his phone and say, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna kick it. Let me have my phone.
Wait, but he left his phone and his keys at his friend's house on the Xbox.
So no, that's where the keys ended up at. The phone was on the boat. His keys were on the boat, but they ended up at the kid's house.
Okay.
So they took his stuff.
So he was
right?
he could have
They had
gotten
his
on
keys
with
and-
them and then decided, you know what, I'm going to stay back and talk to Shorty,
Somebody else.
and left his keys and shit on the boat with them. So when they got off the boat, they're like, okay, well, let's just take his shit. We're not going to leave it on the boat, obviously.
Right. No, I get that. But I'm saying Micaiah, if you go someplace and you're with your boys and then you decide you're going to separate from your boys, you're going to see them later, you're going to kick it with Shorty or whatever, you're going to get your phone, right?
I think, well, not if my shit. Well, it just kind of depends. Like, if we're
If you
all
going to get on
in a
another boat with her,
like I said, we're all
As an
like,
18-year-old.
Yeah, probably. Most likely, I'll probably go back and get my phone. But it also just depends on like where he's at compared to where their boat is at and her boat, or they're about to take.
And
off.
was he intoxicated? Could he have just
that's another
legitimately
thing.
just forgot his phone?
We
and
don't
keys?
know because guess what? That autopsy report We still don't know what's on it.
And
There
then
were two autopsies done. There was an autopsy done by the state, and there was an autopsy done, an independent
It was an
autopsy.
independent, and the independent one is still, it's pending investigation
Inconclusive.
because they did not, apparently his throat was
His
missing,
throat was
which
missing.
I
His lungs were missing, which means they can't see if he drowned, because if you drown, your lungs are going to be filled with water, right?
mm,
So if your
yes,
lungs ain't there, how are they supposed to know you drowned? Your throat is
yes.
missing, right? Why is your throat missing? Because maybe I'm just speaking out here. We talking about crime and whatever, but somebody chokes you out, they're gonna break your larynx, right? So let's remove the throat so nobody knows that, right? So I'm just, again, I'm reaching here, but there's so many things. Why are his organs missing?
And again, what changed at 11 o'clock at night? What
cause
changed from, oh, homeboy is going to go kick it with some girl? If your homeboy is going to go kick it with some girl, then you're under the impression he kicking it with some girl. So in my mind, if that's what I'm thinking is happening, I'm just thinking like from a male's perspective. It's a little bit different females because that's a little different. But as a young man, I don't think anybody's going to really turn, you know what I'm saying? Like no eyebrows are going to go up to the next day you ain't heard from somebody.
no, I
But how
think
do you go from leaving the island and then just a couple of hours later, now all of a sudden you assume he's missing? What made you think he was missing?
And there's also a speculation that he fought with one of the boys
And then I don't know
there.
if y'all heard. Okay, I don't know if y'all heard. I got to go back. I listened to a clip of it, but then I didn't listen to it in really like I should have. Like I want to now, but there is a clip because at 4 o'clock, and you have to look at the timestamp of everything because they got the GPS, they got phone calls, they called in at 4 o'clock. Now apparently they didn't leave the island till 4:31, but at 4 o'clock they called a tow. They called the sea tow company to tell them that there was something wrong with the boat. Basically, like there was water coming onto the boat. They were
Mm-hmm.
having an issue with the pump. So one kid is on with the tow people. You can hear kids in the background talking, and somebody. It sounds as if they're saying something um about him dying. They're saying something about Nolan dying. You can hear conversation in the background. You can hear Nolan's name. You can hear somebody say dying, or something along those lines at 4 o'clock while somebody's calling the CETO. And then the kid who's reporting the pump issue, who's on the phone with this, he sounds so distracted. He's not really paying attention to what the dispatcher is even asking him.
And then they canceled the tow.
And then they canceled the tow.
They canceled the
And
tow.
then yes. And then again, this was at 4 o'clock. They leave the island at 4:31. So make sense to me right there. You're on the island. You call at 4 o'clock to report water coming onto your boat. Why did you proceed to take that boat an hour and a half back home if you had water coming onto the boat supposedly at 4 o'clock? But the timestamp shows that you left the island at 4:31. Bro, if there's water coming onto my boat at 4 o'clock, what is the boat looking like at 4:30? And why would you attempt to make it an hour and a half
But
across that water back home?
there is also a report that boat went back to the island that night.
Oh, I did not see that. I just saw that when they left at 4:31, the boat for the first hour of that trip, they said that boat was moving at like a very, very slow speed. And then after an hour, it started again at regular speed. It's picked up regular speed. But for that first hour, it was like hella slow. And then I want to say like 5:25, the timestamp shows that the boat picked up speed and started driving like normal. And then they got back to the island 20 minutes later. And then it's not until they got back to the island at like 5:44. And then Nolan wasn't reported missing until 11 o'clock that night. But once again, make this make sense to me. If the timestamp of your call to the CETO at 4 o'clock and the kid is on the phone, you hear him clearly tell them there's water coming onto the boat. He's like, it's a lot of water. There's water coming onto the boat. What would possess anyone to make an hour and a half boat ride back if you already had water coming onto the boat at 4?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy work. That doesn't even make sense.
they was trying to they was trying to disguise his death as the boat was about to sink. He drowned type.
They said, from what it seems like, they don't know anything about his death. They had no idea. They weren't there. They don't know how he died. Nobody's saying anything about anything.
So
So
here's
to them, they're just saying they came back like he was trying to kick it with some girl. So they left him there on the island and they don't know what happened to him. All they know, they came back because he said he was going to kick it with old girl and they came back home. So again, why is there a problem at 11 o'clock?
So here's the timeline. At 11:14 a.m., the boat arrived at Horn Island. At 4:31 p.m., the boat leaves Horn Island for the mainland without Nolan. At 6:06 p.m., vessel returns to its original departure dock, and at 7:19, boat moves to a boat launch and is towed to a private residence. So
The boat is, I didn't see the boat towed to a private
yeah, the
residence.
boat
That's
is
crazy.
towed to a private residence. Trying to figure out whose residence it was because
Whose house?
that's suspect about that too. Whose house was boat towed to? Let's find out whose house. Whose house was boat towed to? I guess my question is, do y'all think this was racially motivated? Do you think that, because there's a lot of people that are saying don't let your kids hang out with white kids. There's a lot
I
of
don't think
nonsense.
I think at some point we got to
this,
stop taking we got to stop putting race in it. Like everything
no.
isn't race related.
Mm,
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say that the way the case is being handled has a lot to do with race. I'm not gonna go out and say that them killing him, they killed him, or
Because
because
he
of,
was
I'm
black.
not gonna go, yeah, like I'm not gonna say that his apparent, to me in my mind, I feel like he was murdered. I'm not gonna say that he was murdered because he was black, but I
mm,
feel like
They're handling it
their
the way
lack,
they are because he's
yes,
black.
and the
Mm-hmm.
way, yes, most fucking definitely, because I promise you this would not be the same scenario if it was three black boys and one white boy and the white boy came up menacing. Ain't no
Mm-hmm.
fucking way. Somebody would have already been in cuffs. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody would have had to answer some type of questions.
So the boat that was carrying Nolan's friends on the day he disappeared was towed overland to Biloxi, Mississippi, the residence of Jerry Atkerson, who is the grandfather of Wyatt Pyron, who is one of the boys that was on the
Miss me.
boat.
Mm.
Nah, miss me, son.
So
In Mississippi at that. In
Yeah.
in
Mississippi. Let's take
Mississippi.
like we talk about, let's take race out of it. Nah, in places like that, race is most definitely still a real big factor. Like people don't want to accept that, people don't want to acknowledge that, but that is a very big thing. So these judges, the grandpa, like, stop it. There's a cover up. People are not answering questions. People are protecting their kids. They're doing what they got to do to protect their kids, and they're trying to play like, oh, we don't know what happened. No, y'all fucking know what happened to him, and ain't nobody saying shit. Whether, and even if it was, which I don't necessarily believe it was an accident, but even if it was an accident, the way that it was handled, whatever y'all boys did to cover up this supposed accident, if that is the case, says a whole, like, somebody knows something. Like somebody knows something. They played a hand in his death. This was not just, oh, he drowned, or what would it make it make sense?
Yeah.
He told y'all he was going to kick it with some girl. How did he end up in the fucking water? How did he end up dead? Mind you, in the independent autopsy, although the cause of death is undetermined because they can't do a full thorough autopsy because he's got body parts fucking missing,
Mm-hmm.
but there's abrasions on the back of his head. He's got bruising and abrasions on the back of the base of his head, along his neck, and I guess the bottom of his head around his ears.
Yeah, discoloration was found along the
Whoa,
back of
what?
his neck and head. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that happen? If you want to say if it was an accident, if he was drinking, he drowned, whatever, how does he have bruising on the back of his head? That doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And why not give all of what you need to give and allow this other court? Why not allow for a thorough independent autopsy to be done? Where is the rest of him?
So apparently they're saying that the state still has these because they're still they're still doing their testing on him, which doesn't,
No, no, his that results, the results of their autopsy has already been concluded. They're just not releasing
oh, that's
anything
right.
because they're,
It's
yeah,
sealed. Yeah, it says
they're trying to, yeah, but all of that is done. So you did what you got to do. You feel like you've got you're withholding all of that, but you feel like your autopsy is complete and done. So allow this independent autopsy to be done. But theirs is already finished. They're taking whatever they're taking into the grand jury or whatever. But yeah, theirs is done.
well, see,
So
and that makes it suspect right there, because if the first autopsy is completed, because it says it's done, it says, but the findings are sealed. Why are the findings sealed?
mhm,
Like, let's talk about it.
mhm,
Let's have a conversation. If there was nothing there, then let's talk about that, right? So that they're sealed.
mhm,
A preliminary independent autopsy commissioned by the Wells family, funded by Colin Kaepernick, and performed by forensic
mhm.
pathologist Dr. Roger Mitchell, listed the cause and manner of death as undetermined, because they could not test the organs that they needed to test to rule out drowning.
Yeah, they can't determine the cause of death because they can't do a full autopsy.
Which
So they're,
is wild to me.
yeah, the whole thing is fucking wild. Mind you, all of a sudden, I don't know if y'all saw this, but there was an anonymous complaint made on Nolan's mom. I guess she's a nurse, but there was all of a sudden an anonymous complaint made against her that she's now being reviewed. Like, it's like a professional investigation. They're reviewing her, but an anonymous complaint out of nowhere. This woman, this nurse who has no record of ever had no issues like this prior. Now all of a sudden somebody finds now the appropriate time to make some type of complaint against her for being unethical or not. What?
Yeah,
The
so they're
timing on that
saying
is crazy.
the anonymous individual refused to put their name on it, but the nursing board of Mississippi closed and dismissed that case. The complaint was
Yeah.
filed only after Wansley began publicly asking questions and pushing for an independent investigation to her 18-year-old son's death. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, but they shut that down quick. The case was dismissed on August 5th.
And then on top of that, less than an hour, it was like not even an hour after Nolan's body was found, that the sheriff was doing some type of freaking press conference and already saying that no foul play
Yeah.
is suspected. No,
there's
how do you know this after an hour after his body hasn't even? How are you making that statement in front of everybody an hour after his body being discovered?
Yeah, there's
So you're already setting the narrative.
they came out and said it was drowning, but they hadn't even done an autopsy. They had no way of determining that
Yes.
just because they found his body in the water doesn't mean he drowned.
Yep. Yep.
So
Them boys know what happened to him. They definitely did.
okay.
But
Well, that's all I have. Does anybody have anything else?
Not at all.
No, this is kind of a somber podcast, right? Hey, but these conversations need to be had for sure. So I want to thank everybody for being here with me. Micaiah, you were awfully quiet. You were all gung-ho about talking shit. I thought you and Sujey were going to go round
was
for round,
scared.
but he got scared.
scared.
No, he started hearing the information,
facts.
and then he was like, well, maybe she didn't do it. Maybe she didn't do it. And then he's like, I'm gonna watch it. It's right. Where they showing it at? On TV,
Look, as of
YouTube.
right now, I stand on business. She guilty.
Oh yeah, okay.
Send
All
her
right.
ass to
Um,
the pen, yo.
All right.
gosh.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank y'all for sharing this time with us. I know it's been a minute since we dropped a pod, but that's because, we trying to get it together over here. So thank y'all for being here and being part of this. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Until then, y'all be kind and loving and sweet to one another. Do the best you can, be a good person, and continue to have at it.
Have at it. Family divided. We left, we shop, but we're still united. Hot takes, hard hits. You're all invited. Have at it. Family divided.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?